Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I haven't done a live stream for a while, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, I was at DEF CON a couple weeks ago. I was traveling a lot, and I recently purchased a house that took all my energy. And honestly, I was getting a little bit burned out from the hack the box machines and the try hack me rooms. So that I just kind of stopped, which is one of the reasons why I actually started to do a new type of live stream. So if it's your first time here, this is actually a new type of live stream that I'm going to be doing every single week. And every single week, I'm going to be going over one of my past newsletters in video format. So it's what I would consider an important message that many people need to hear, and things that are on my mind, and things that I truly believe will elevate your career, things that no one else is saying out there. So if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter already and you enjoy this content, there's more in the newsletter at kyserclark.com/newsletter. We're going to wait a few minutes, get people in here, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has and welcome everybody into the stream. So Wi-Fi Addict, welcome to the stream, man. Thank you so much for stopping in. How you doing, man? Henry Lever? Dude, that's a cool name, by the way. Like, the first thing I think of is like a Henry Lever action rifle. That's a pretty sick name, honestly. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Also, after I go over, I'm calling this what, cybersecurity hard truths? Was that what I called it? We're going to be going over the cybersecurity news of the week, and I'm just going to throw out my 2 cents and what happened in last week's cybersecurity news. So make sure you stick around to the end for that. And we're going to be doing a dedicated Q&A section at the end of each section. So there's basically 2 sections. One where I'm doing I'm calling them real talks. I think that's what I'm calling them, real talks, where I'm just going to be completely frank and honest with you, and then deliver a message that many of you need to hear. And then I'll do a Q&A, then we'll go in the news, and then we'll have a discussion on the news articles. What's up, Death Bestower? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping in. You comment on one of my videos and you're like, I miss your live stream. Then I'm like, I felt like I let you down, man. So sorry about that. I said before you just dropped in, man, it was the Hack the Box and the Try Hack Me live streams have just burned me out. And I purchased a house recently, and that took all my energy. So I just wasn't able to do the live streams for a few months. Or not a few months. It's only been it was only a few weeks, I think. Have I made a DEF CON debrief video? You know, I purposely didn't want to make one because I wanted to just experience DEF CON for the first time and not go in there with the objective of making content. Like, that's not why I went into DEF CON. My objective was to meet people, network with people, pick up a tip or trick or two, get some inspiration, and figure out what I want to go with my career. And overall, I had a successful DEF CON because I feel like all of that happened. And my goal was not to make content. I don't know. I just feel weird if like I was like the guy like, yo, I'm at DEF CON, guys, here we go. And then like, like I ain't that kind of guy, you know what I mean? I know I make a lot of content, but I like making content for my home. I'm not camera shy, obviously, but I want to enjoy the moment. You know what I mean? Like when I go to like the zoo, you know what I mean? Like I like to just look at the animals in the aquarium. Like I don't take a lot of pictures. I'll take a couple here and there, but yeah, I like to live in the moment, man. I don't like to capture it all, because I'll be honest, man, I've seen some of the most famous landmarks in history when on vacations and stuff. I take the pictures and I don't really go back and look at them. I mean, maybe one day when I go older, I'll go back and look at them, but I just remember being there in the moment, and I think that's more important. So maybe next time I'll make some more like a debrief video. I mean, I could just talk about DEF CON, but I just feel like that's not a good video if I don't have like footage and pictures of DEF CON. You know what I mean? That's just my take on it. Maybe next time. I mean, I still can make a debrief video. I just don't have any footage or pictures. What's up, Giovanni? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? Yo, what's up, Zero Saber? Thanks for stopping in. Nah, man, I mean, just a post DEF CON recap of your experience being it was your first. Yeah, I mean, back on that subject, I made a post on LinkedIn with all the pictures that I was able to accumulate, because all the pictures that I posted about my DEF CON weren't my pictures. I had to like reach out to friends like, hey, or no, I didn't even reach out to them. They sent me the pictures and I'm like, hey, can I post this? And they was like, yeah, you can post it. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have any pictures. So, so like I said, I honestly, dude, I think I took like 2 or 3 pictures at DEF CON the entire time. I was truly living in the moment. But also I was afraid of breaking the photo policy. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I give you a short debrief at DEF CON. It was great. I feel like a lot of veterans who've been in the field for a while, they feel like it's kind of going downhill. But for someone who is, I'm not new to the field, but I'm new to the conferences, and I loved it, man. Like, cause there's nothing like connecting with people face to face, and it was just nice. It was nice to just meet people in real life, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that a lot, and yeah, I will always be going to the conferences as long as I'm in this career field, which will be until I die. So it's gonna be a while, because I like to consider myself still a little young. What's up, NeoFetch? Thanks for stopping in. Yo, OX3 Security, Paul, thank you so much for stopping in, dude. How you doing, man? Nice meeting you at DEF CON. It was a privilege and an honor to meet you. What's this live stream for? Yeah, so that's a good question. We're just waiting for people to come in. I've actually been rambling for 7 minutes already. I did not intend to ramble for 7 minutes before I got started here. So this is gonna be my last rant. But this one is about what did I title this? I don't even remember what. The truth about breaking into cybersecurity. And it is, yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. So this is mostly for the new people. If you're already in the field, this doesn't really apply to you, but I still think there's some takeaways here. So there's a lot of people that I would consider baby cybersecurity enthusiasts. And I kind of made up this term, like, what you're probably thinking, what is a baby cybersecurity enthusiast? And these people are people who literally need to be spoon-fed information their entire career. Like, they reach out to people and they're like, will you be my mentor? They're like, will you be my mentor? Will you be my mentor? And the truth is, guys, you don't need a mentor to get started. You really don't. There is so much information out there. There's dozens, maybe even hundreds of YouTube channels out there that have hundreds of videos, thousands of videos. And there's tons of blog posts, there's Reddit, there's Discord. There's so much information that you can literally just get by reading. You don't even need to ask a single question. You don't need to know a single person. There's that much information out there. We live in the greatest time of information. We don't have a lack of information at all. The secret to breaking into cybersecurity isn't even a secret anymore. It's there. You just need to take the information and you need to apply it. A lot of people are afraid to make that first step because there is a lot of information out there and it can be confusing. I will give you that if you're a newcomer and you're a bit confused. But the reason why there's a lot of information is because every professional has broken into this field in a different way. If you ask 100 different people how they broke into cybersecurity, you're going to get 100 different answers. And that just leads me to tell you that there are infinite paths into this field, right? There's a lot of people that get certifications and they break in that way. That was kind of my main thing to break in. Some people don't even have certifications. Some people, they break in because they met the right person at the conference. That wasn't me. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm newer to the conference game. But there are a lot of ways you can break in. I went the military route. That was what really helped me out a lot. But coming out of the military, the certifications helped me the most, making that transition. And a lot of people get confused because there is a lot of information out there. But rather than trying to craft this perfect roadmap or like trying to have someone tell you a step-by-step guide on how to break into the field, because so many people, they want a roadmap, right? And those are some of the top videos on YouTube, and I know that to be true because I make some roadmap videos, and people love them. But the truth is, like, these roadmaps, the ones that I make anyways, that's a multi-year process. It's a multi-year process. It takes multiple years to really get to the level to break into cybersecurity, because cybersecurity, unfortunately, and to be quite frank with you, isn't an entry-level thing. Like, you need to come from a tech background in some way, shape, or form. More times than not. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just unlikely. And when it comes to these roadmaps, people love them because it's like, oh, it's a step-by-step guide. If I get this cert and I do this course and I do this boot camp and I get this degree, and people, you're thinking of it the wrong way, right? It's not like other professions where, like, a lawyer, like, they go, I don't know what it takes to become a lawyer, but there's a law school and then you got to pass a bar. I know that much. And there's like a kind of like a step-by-step process to become a lawyer, right? But like in cybersecurity, it's really like the Wild West. Like, you can truly do it however you want to. It kind of reminds me of my guest I had on my podcast, Richie, a Anubis hacker, and he purposely didn't get a degree. He purposely didn't get OSCP just to prove it was possible, and I really commend him for that. Me, I didn't do that. I was like, I'm gonna get as many degrees as I can, as many certs as I can, and the only reason you're not gonna hire me is if you just don't like me as a person. And that was like the mentality I had. I wanted to go in with as many advantages as possible, get as many. That's why I lost certs, because I wanted as many advantages as possible, and that's why I still work incredibly hard to this day. And but yeah, there's so many different ways to break into cybersecurity, guys. You're overcomplicating it with the roadmaps, and you don't need a step-by-step guide. You really want to build your own path, because at the end of the day, the best path that you take is the one that you build yourself. And if you take someone else's path, let's say if you follow the exact steps that someone did 5 years ago to break into cybersecurity, like, you're probably not going to break in, because the old way of breaking in isn't the way to break in now. The field's constantly changing. And another thing is, I have made myself 5-year plans. I feel like every year I make a 5-year plan. And every 5-year plan that I've ever done never happened. Like, I always get sidetracked. I go pick up a different cert because of whatever reason, and things don't play out the way I always plan them out. So that's the thing about roadmaps. Like, it's going to change, and there's going to be personal things in your life that's also going to interfere with your path that you envision for yourself. And more times than not, like, it's not going to play out the way you think it's going to play out, for good and for bad. Sometimes it plays out a lot better than what you think it's going to. It's not a bad thing. It's just the reality. It's just life, right? Life happens. Things are going to be different. The field's constantly changing. In your personal life, things are going to come up too. So don't get caught up on the roadmaps. Like, you really truly need to think for yourself. There is a lot of information out there, and it can be confusing, like I said, but don't get caught up on following a set path. Like, there are so many different paths, and what you would need to focus on is just worry about the next step. What's in front of you? What's the first step? And then after that, figure out what the next step is, rather than making a 5-year plan. Now, it's okay to make a 5-year plan. I still do it to this day. But I'm kind of not relying on 5-year plans too much, because so many things in life just happen, and everything gets mixed up. So yeah, that's the rant, guys. Hopefully you got some value out of that. I'm sure someone needed to hear that. Don't get caught up on the roadmaps. It's okay to ask questions, but don't expect mentors and people to, like, carve out the perfect path for you. Okay, it is your career at the end of the day. No one cares more about your career than you do, and most people don't care about your career at all. I do care about your career, and that's why I make the content that I do. But a lot of people, they're more worried about themselves. So hopefully you got some value out of this. If you want some more insights, I highly recommend going to kyserclerk.com/newsletter, sign up for my newsletter. I wrote this, I think, 9 months ago. I wrote about this 9 months ago, and if you need to hear that message, you could have got 9 months ago for my newsletter. And there's valuable content, frank, honest, real content in my newsletter. And yeah, if this inspired you, the newsletter's where you want to be. Does anybody have any questions or have anything to say about that? And if you disagree, feel free to disagree in the comments and we'll have a discussion here. So currently a cyber analyst, but got the role with IT support experience in the CompTIA trifecta. Definitely a lot of ways to get there though. Looking at what certs to get, become an engineer or pen tester. I do have a engineer and a pen tester roadmap. I would highly recommend watching those on YouTube. But if you got the CompTIA trifecta and you're already a cybersecurity analyst, your next step is to start getting some hands-on certifications. Like if you want to be a pen tester, OSCP, CPTS, PMPT, pick one of those three, and that's going to set you up for success. Cybersecurity engineer. I think the CCNA is incredibly valuable for cybersecurity engineers because you're going to be working with a lot of networking equipment. Also, learn how to program and learn how to automate stuff if you want to be an engineer. What's up, Amon? Thanks for stopping in. Glad to see you here. Just got the PT1 looking to jump from blue team into pen testing. Couple questions. How do you find junior pen test jobs and where do you get good at app security testing for someone better at the network/infrastructure side? Here's the cold hard truth, guys, that no one's gonna like. There really isn't any junior pen test jobs, guys. There's not. Very rarely you'll come across them. Companies nowadays want a pen tester who has experience, who can go into a pen test and do the job with little to no supervision, like very little speed up time. And that's the reality. And you're probably wondering, like, how do I get the experience how do I get the job if I don't have the experience? And that's, the chicken and the egg conundrum that a lot of people face. A lot of people face that. But here, what I did, I had 6 years cyber defense operations experience. And that's real world experience. I work a very technical role, working out there in the field, customer facing position. And that helped me get my pen test consulting role as a mid-level professional. But that wasn't the only thing to help me. I also had 12 certifications and a college degree. And the OCP helped a lot with that, with the technical hands-on pen testing skills. So you have to, instead of trying to find a junior pen test position, what you want to do is you want to market yourself as a mid-level professional, even if you've never done a real-world pen test in your entire life. If you market yourself as a mid-level professional, then that's, in my opinion, that's like really the best way. And when you write your resumes, you need to focus on aspects. You never want to lie in your resume, right? But you want to focus on aspects that are applicable to pen testing, right? So one of the things I put on my resume was like, yeah, I did a vulnerability assessment. I found security issues on a application, and that was like a one-off thing in my job, right? That wasn't something I was doing every day. But it was one of my top bullet points because it was directly applicable to pen testing. I know I need more certs already studying for OSCP. Nice. Sometimes certs aren't the answer. For me, it was, but for some people, it's not. There's some people that get certs and they can't find jobs because they don't know how to communicate their value to an employer, and that's really the real secret to success. It's like you need to figure out how to deliver value, and you need to market yourself and sell yourself to employers. So get really good at interviewing and get really good at talking to people and just really hyping yourself up. Now you don't want to never lie in an interview. Don't inflate your skills that you don't have, but you need to, if you build the skills, you're going to build your confidence that back it up. So that would be my recommendation. Man, thank God I got recommended how to start from zero. I have a video on my YouTube channel how to break into cybersecurity, or it's like cybersecurity roadmap. If you go to my roadmaps, you'll find it. I forget the name of it, but it is what I would recommend starting from zero. The first step, honestly, Like, go get a CompTIA Network Plus if you're starting from actually 0. That's what I recommend to people. Get the CompTIA Network Plus. You can get the A Plus, but you can also skip the A Plus. If you know at least a little bit about computers, feel free to skip over the A Plus and go straight to Net Plus, and then get Sec Plus. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because by the time you get Sec Plus, the roadmap might change. And that's going to be a multi-month. That's going to take you multiple months to get those 2 certs, by the way. Awesome, appreciate it. Will most likely go after the OSP for pen test jobs. Do you have experience as a cyber engineer? I do not. I've never been a cybersecurity engineer. I have a good friend who used to be a cybersecurity engineer. He now works in digital forensic and incident response. And I know about being a cyber engineer, cybersecurity engineer, but I've never held that role. I was cyber defense operations, which was mostly a system administrator and a network administrator role, with some help desk in there and a little bit of cyber, but not as in depth as like a cybersecurity engineer. And then I got out of the military and I became a pen tester, and I'm still a pen tester to this day. But I do get, on a very regular basis, probably once a week at this point, jobs to become a cybersecurity engineer. I just don't take them or even consider them, because I like being a pen tester. I like hacking things, and a cybersecurity engineer, you're not really hacking into things. You're more building things up and securing the fortress. You build the fortress up and you secure the fortress. Pen tester, I go to a network engineer's network and I find holes in their fortress, and then I tell them about it so they can patch the holes in their fortress. And that's what I like to do. But cybersecurity engineer, great role, by the way. They make more money than pen testers, by the way, too. That makes perfect sense. I recently applied to threat hunting role that is an entry level, and they completely disregarded it in my resume because I had mostly sysadmin and junior sec analyst things on there. Dang. See, that's what I mean. I would feel like a junior sec analyst would be something that would help you with the threat hunting, but threat hunting is like SOC level 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So you want to get into like a SOC level 2, SOC level 3 position, and then work your way up the ladder into threat hunting. Yeah, threat hunting is like the upper echelon, like the top tier SOC analysts are on those roles. What's up, Tech with Cody? Thanks for stopping in. What's up, Zero Saber 7? Thanks for stopping in. You've done a bunch of certs and even degrees in cyber. Which one actually gave you more attention, search projects or the degree? That's an incredibly good question. And I would say the certs. The degrees help. Like when you get a degree, like you get a lot of attention. But I would say, like, if I post like, oh yeah, I got my master's degree, oh yeah, I finished my bachelor's degree, I got 2 degrees, a master's and a bachelor's in cybersecurity, and it gets about the same amount of engagement as a certification. The thing with certifications, though, they take a fraction of the time and it costs a fraction of the price, and you get more hands-on skills as well. So I really like certs. If you can get the degree, then get the degree. If you can afford it comfortably, keyword comfortably afford. I would not go into debt for a degree. I only have my degrees because of military tuition assistance and GI Bill. If it wasn't for those, probably wouldn't have a degree, because I don't think it's worth it. Like if I'm paying the entire, well, if you can afford like the entire degree, then pay for it with cash. But if you got to go into debt, I would say no. That's just me. Projects help, but most, they don't get as much attention and as much engagement as certs and degrees do. Best roadmap for Red Team? Man, I'm building the roadmap myself, bro. I'm not a red teamer yet. Keyword yet. I'm working my way out there, and when I make it there, I'll have a roadmap for you. But it's gonna take I've been a pen tester, full-time pen tester for about a year and a half now, and I probably have at least another half year, maybe another year or two before I become a full-time red teamer. So that's what I try to tell you guys. Like, it's a multi-year journey. Like, it took me, I've been in the field for 7 years. It took me 6 years to become a pen tester, but maybe it won't take you 6 years, because I was stuck in that role for 6 years because I was under contract in the military. Like, I had no choice. Like, I had to stay in the military. Like, I couldn't just get out of the military. So take that into consideration. But I mean, it's still, even if I could have got out of the military, I feel like I wouldn't have been ready for a pen test role in those first 5 years. It took me 5 years to really feel comfortable with my pen testing and ethical hacking skills. And then now that I'm a full-time pen tester, I fully expect to be a full-time pen tester for multiple years before I become a red teamer. It's a multi-year thing. I'm looking for something practical in terms of certs. I'm confused. Was thinking about OSCP, but it's too expensive. About one, I don't know what currency that is. 1,60,000 rupees post tax here. Can't really afford. Yeah, that's a problem for a lot of people, and I understand the frustration, because I mean, I could afford OSCP, but I mean, there's plenty of things that I want in life that I can't afford, like a Lamborghini, for example. That's a little bit different, but I understand what it's like to not be able to afford things that you really want. But the thing with OSCP is, if you can somehow muster up the money for it, it's totally worth it. Okay, but there's alternatives to OSCP. You got the CPTS from Hack the Box. It's actually on sale at this very moment. 25% off. I forget what the code is. You'd have to look at the Hack the Box marketing stuff. If you got some good OSINT skills, you can definitely find that code. But they're doing 25% off the silver annual subscription, which bumps the price down from like $490 for the annual silver subscription to like $360 or something like that. So CPTS is a alternative to OSCP. You also got the PMPT from TCM Security. That's a $500 certification. And I would say it's worth it, because that one's actually, I'm doing that right now. I'm actually going to take the exam this weekend, actually. So hopefully at this time, I'm turning in my PMPT report with a pass, is what I'll be doing this time next week. And just doing that training, it's definitely more realistic than OSCP. OSCP does give you the most recognition, but it's not the end all be all. I'm interested in doing pen testing, but I'm worried I'll screw something up on the client system. Has that happened to you before, and how do you overcome that concern? Man, what a good question. That actually happened to me a couple weeks ago. 100%. And it wasn't the first time it's happened, but yeah, I mean, long story short, I found some SQL injection vulnerabilities, and I'm like, all right, I want to test this SQL injection, see if I can dump the database and all this stuff. And I'm just testing SQL injection, like I would anywhere else, doing my thing, using SQL map, and the client hits me up. Like, I basically overloaded their server with queries, and I put their CPU to 100% utilization, and it basically took their production system down to a halt. And the issue was, the application I was testing, the web app I was testing, was a test app. It shouldn't have been linked to production at all. They didn't tell me it was linked to production. So had I known that, I wouldn't have been sending so many queries to it. But when they say it's a test application, I'm assuming it's not linked to production. And how did I handle this? So they seem a little upset that their CPU utilization was 100%. And I sent them an email. I'm like, all right, well, I can't test anymore, because this is gonna be, I'm gonna have to document that the constraint is a report. Constraint means it's like, oh, I couldn't thoroughly test this area of your app because of XYZ reason. And that's all I said. And my manager comes up to me, and they're like, yo, like, you need to have a little more empathy. Like, you just took down their whole production server. I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. So I guess from my perspective, like, I didn't feel bad for taking it down, and that's where I made a mistake. I should have been like, oh, I didn't even apologize. I had to get on a call later and apologize. But in the moment, I didn't feel the need to apologize. And that was a big lesson that I learned there. Like, if you do take something down, even if it's not your fault, right? Even if it's not your fault, you need to apologize and be like, hey, it wasn't my intent to destroy your production application. So that's just one example. The biggest thing is if you take down client's production system, it can and it will happen. You just need to be as respectful as you possibly can, and you need to show empathy. And lucky for you, you get to hear that from me. I didn't. I learned that lesson the hard way. And my manager's like, you need to like show a little more empathy when you take down clients' systems. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because they expect you not to take stuff down. Like, even though that is always a possibility, they don't expect that to happen. Thank you very much. How would I contact on stepping on things? I'm not sure what you're asking there. If you want to reach me, how? Follow me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop comments on my YouTube channels. I read my comments more than my LinkedIn DMs. By the way, if you left a comment that I haven't replied to yet, I haven't got to them yet. It's been a little over a week since I got my YouTube comments, but I will get to them eventually, I promise. Are you planning on taking the cape from Hack the Box? Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying about like you don't want to like make a roadmap for yourself that's like 20 steps ahead. I would like to get the cape, but it's like 3, 4, maybe even 5 moves away. So it's something that I would like to get, but it's not something I want to be doing anytime soon. Right now I'm working on PNPT, and after PNPT I want to do CPTS. After CPTS, next natural progression is cape from Hack the Box. So it's coming down the pipe, but I don't know exactly when. I definitely would like to get it. Someone just followed. I didn't have the follow alerts on. Who just followed? Let me figure out who just followed. It's my mission to thank every follower when I'm live. Anyway, obviously I can't thank you when I'm not live, but let's see here. I need to fix that. I need to put the follow alerts on this screen. This is the first time I've streamed from just like my webcam for a while. I also need to figure out how to get the questions on the screen so you guys know what question I'm answering. It's a work in progress, guys. This is a new type of live stream, which goes back to my philosophy of like, you don't need to have everything right. Like, you don't need to have the perfect roadmap figured out. You just gotta start going, and it's kind of the mentality I took for the live stream. Like, yeah, like could have probably made the live stream a little bit better, but I'd rather just start and make it better as I go. If I can figure out how to get to my dashboard to see who followed me. I finished Hack the Box and unlocked the exam for CPTS. I was thinking getting PJPT to start and then Pentest Plus, then PNPT, OSCP. Do you think this is a decent route? I think all those certs are good, but I think you got them in the wrong order. I think Pentest Plus is definitely one that you should go first if that's something you want to do. And then I would go PJPT, and then I would go PNPT, then I would go OSCP, and then CPTS. If you was going to put those in order, if you want all of those, and you can skip 1 or 2 of those if you really want to. I mean, what I did, I got Pentest Plus, I got EJPT, which is, I would say, similar to PJPT, and then I went to OSCP, and now I'm working on PNPT. But PNPT, from what I'm seeing, and I could be wrong because I haven't taken the exam yet, I'm taking it this weekend, it seems a little bit easier than OSCP. Mostly because it's a 5-day exam and not a 24-hour exam. 5 days of doing an exam is a lot of time. A lot of time to find things. OSCP, 24 hours, not a lot of time to find things. And that's what makes it hard. Good luck with the exam. Thank you. I'm not a pen tester, but interested in the AI red teaming path on Hack the Box. Do you recommend learning the CPTS before doing the AI red teamer path? That's a good question. I want to get into AI red teaming and AI pen testing myself, but I'm still working on building those base foundational skills, right? Like right now I'm at the intermediate pen tester level. I'm trying to get to that senior pen tester level, the higher end of pen testing skills, and then I'm going to get into like red teaming and pen testing AI. So that's, to me, that seems like a good plan. I don't know for sure like how hard the AI red teaming path is on Hack the Box, but I would assume that you need to have basic red team and pen test skills before you can even do AI red teaming. So I think CPTS before the AI red teaming path seems like a good idea. HD Suave over on Twitch, thank you so much for the follow. All right, guys, go ahead and get into the news. I promised it. Let's go ahead and dive into the news now. That's not the screen. That's not the screen I wanted.
This demo is for educational purposes only. Ethical hacking is legal and differs from illegal hacking. Always ensure you have legal permission before performing what you see in this demo.
That's the chat. That's not the screen I wanted to share. Let's fix that. Or maybe. I think if I change, let's try this.
This demo is for educational purposes.
Ignore the disclaimer. That's when I was doing my Hack the Box streams. I had to put that up because YouTube likes to ban me if I don't tell you to do this ethically. I should have been more prepared today. I am sorry, guys. We're going to get into the news as soon as I figure out how to share my other monitor. You know, actually, this monitor will work. I'll make this one work. Actually, let's there we go. This should work. Yep. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. First time I'm doing one of these types of live streams, so bear with me. All right, so like I said, we're gonna go over like the news. My favorite news source, guys, the CISO series, specifically the cybersecurity headlines. So this is where this information is coming from. I'm not a cybersecurity journalist. I didn't go out and find these articles. I'm just pulling it straight from them. Great podcast, by the way. I listen to it every single day. I've been listening to the cybersecurity headlines since November 2022. Every single episode. I haven't missed one. My work is paying for my first GX, or should I get GCIH or GPen? Well, it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to do incident handling, or do you want to do pen testing? They're completely different certifications, so it's just wherever you want to take your career. I don't know what kind of role you're in now, but it just depends on what kind of skills you want. Do you want incident responder skills, or do you want pen testing skills? So shout out CISO series and cybersecurity headlines. That's where this information comes from. I highly recommend you guys follow them. So the first headline here, we got CISA implores OT environments to lock down critical infrastructure. The agency is seeking to get attention from companies with operational technology environments to get them to set a better cybersecurity posture, noting an increase in attacks this year, 87% year over year, according to Dragos. CISA published some new foundational guidance for OT cybersecurity that starts with the absolute basics, assume nothing, and start entirely fresh with a new taxonomy-based OT asset inventory. A link in the report is available. So, yeah, OT security, man, it's critical infrastructure. They call it that for a reason because it can be it can be deadly if the right OT environment is cyber attacked. The one cyber attack that I always like to mention is the water tower attack. That thing, for those who don't know, someone hacked into a water treatment plant and they like changed the chlorine levels in the water level and literally could have poisoned an entire town with dangerous levels of chlorine. Like, they were dangerous levels of chlorine that this cyber criminal managed to change. And luckily there was an operator there watching it and reverted it back, and no harm was done. But when it comes to OT, that's operational technology, by the way. Think like power plants, water treatment plants, oil refineries, industrial stuff. So, industrial technology. There's a lot of harm that can be done. And I've said this before, but I haven't said it enough. But in my opinion, it's a matter of time before cyber criminals turn into cyber terrorists and actually start using cyber attacks to cause death and bodily harm. We haven't seen that a lot. I mean, it might have happened, but from my understanding, I haven't seen that anywhere. And it hasn't happened in the news recently, but in my opinion, like, it's gonna happen eventually if these OT environments aren't locked down. Like, I mean, look, 87% increase year over year for more attacks. One of these cyber criminals is going to hack into a water treatment plant, poison a town, hack into a power plant, shut down power, and maybe cause explosions. I mean, like I came from oil refinery before I was in cybersecurity, and those things are very dangerous. And if they're not properly maintained, if they're not operated correctly, I mean, like these operators that was in the oil refinery, they made a lot of money, because if they didn't operate the oil refinery or the chemical plant the right way, there would be actual explosions, and it can cause a very significant explosion. And obviously, when there's explosions, death and bodily harm can and will happen. So, in my opinion, I mean, I just think there's going to be a cyber attack one of these days. It just is going to cause it, and that's going to be a pivotal turning point in the cybersecurity field. Luckily, it hasn't happened yet. I'm not hoping that happens, right? To just get more business out there, right? I'm not hoping for that. I'm just being a realist, and I think it's a possibility. And as time goes forward, it becomes more of a possibility. And I mean, you're seeing right here, 87% increase year over year. So, this is very concerning, in my opinion. Very concerning. And I hope that you guys, if you're watching and listening in the OT sectors, your job is way more serious than us working in IT. IT and OT is totally different things. In OT, there's not a lot of training out there, and it's hard to get into. And I don't know much about OT, to be honest with you. But there are people that are in it, and if you focus on OT, I think there's a lot of room to really make a huge career out of it, if you ask me. So, if you want to have more of a higher impact in your career as a cybersecurity professional, OT honestly needs you the most. Because, like I said, if someone hacks into a corporate network, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We get some credit card data leaked out. I mean, it's not death and bodily harm. It's identity fraud, which sucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'd rather have someone steal my identity than hack my water and poison me. You know what I mean? Politics and power companies will cause issues like OT cyber attacks, IMO. Interesting. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Hoping for the best, obviously, and I really hope that more people get into OT. And that's one area that I haven't really explored too much when it comes to cybersecurity. But and I know there's not a lot of OT cybersecurity professionals out there, and it's highly needed. So these are the real heroes of cybersecurity, in my opinion, if you're working in this field. Moving on. Sure, Joe Rogan, I'd love to be on your podcast. It's funny because I run a podcast and I invite random people to my podcast all the time. So this is kind of similar to what I do, but yeah, let's just read it. The Better Business Bureau warns that attackers are using fake podcast invitations to trick executives, often targeting high-profile employees with emails that look legitimate and carry professional branding. Victims are asked to join a test interview or technical check, during which AI-generated voices and videos pose as podcast hosts. While the session seems routine, the attackers prompt the target to install software, grant remote access, or share files, giving them the ability to exfiltrate data, harvest credentials, or deploy malware. Researchers note that this method leverages common business practices since executives are accustomed to media requests and interview preparation. Man, yeah, if you get invited to an interview or a podcast and they're like, hey, install this on your system and run this, yeah, don't do that. Do not do that. I can see how your average executive would do that, right? Especially if they're social engineering them and mimic them to be like a legitimate podcast. But at the end of the day, like, never install anything from someone you don't know, even if they're claiming that they are from a certain thing. Like, for example, if your bank calls you, or like, I want to you air quotes, your bank. If someone tries to pretend to be your bank and be like, hey, install this so you can do this, like, you don't trust anything, especially when it comes to installing software on your devices, man. And this can happen to anybody. I feel like cybersecurity professionals is less likely to happen to like us, but yeah, I mean, I think the best thing here as a cybersecurity professional, what you got to do is just, you really got to educate your executives and your managers, if they're not cyber savvy, on like the risks out there. And you should absolutely be sharing this with people around you in your business. If you are like in a cybersecurity shop, or like you're a cybersecurity manager and you got to present to like your executives and your business leaders and the owners of the business that might not be tech savvy. Me, luckily, I work in a cybersecurity consulting firm, so we're all pretty cyber savvy because we have to be, because it's filled with cybersecurity professionals. But yeah, this is an interesting one, and it's a new attack, yet another attack vector that attackers and cyber criminals are using. Moving on. Workday confirms data breach. I'm laughing because, dude, I hate Workday so much, and I'm not happy that they got breached. I'm actually upset because I have personally applied to positions that use Workday. So over the weekend, the human resources technology giant confirmed that threat actors access a third-party customer relationship database obtaining personal information. This database typically stores contact information, so names, emails, and phone numbers were likely exposed. The company said there is no inclination of access to customer tenants. Interesting. So, I mean, I feel like if there's no indication, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. I mean, this is probably true. Like, they probably got my data in the breach, but didn't entirely rule it out. Yeah, exactly. I got ahead of myself there, but didn't entirely rule it out. Like I said, it's a possibility. No word on the third party was breached, but given the recent swath of Salesforce hosted databases targeted, it would be surprising to see another. Workday added a no index tag to its blog post disclosing the breach, so it didn't surface in search. Interesting. Wow, they're like trying to hide a little bit. Oh man, yeah, I can understand why, but the internet knows. The internet knows. I mean, not much here is to say. It's just yet another data breach, and for us who are professionals that most likely have applied to a company that uses Workday, I've definitely done it. Yeah, your information's out there. This is why it's important to treat every job application as if there's a threat actor on the other side. So you don't want to give out your physical address, your mailing address, and don't put in sensitive information that you wouldn't want a threat actor to know, because there's a lot of ghost jobs and fake job postings out there that threat actors are putting out there to collect people's information, and then they're also hacking into Workday to get that too. So just be careful. Don't put your personal information on your applications and in your resumes. It's okay to put your phone number, like the employer has to call you, but like they don't need your location. They don't need your address. They just need to know like what city you're in, if it's an in-person position. If it's not an in-person position, they don't even need to know like what town you live in or what state you live in, for that matter. Moving into the next article. So this new clickjacking is so dumb. A new study shows that browser extension password managers can be tricked into giving up your logins with just one click. Security researcher Marek Toth calls it a form of clickjacking. It's the same principle, but instead of tricking you into clicking a malicious button, your click triggers invisible login fields injected into the page's DOM, document object model. When that happens, the extension may think it's a real form and autofill your saved username and password, two-factor codes, or even credit card details. This trick only works if the attacker is on domain or subdomain your password manager already trusts. Tests showed that 11 major browser extension managers were vulnerable, including 1Password, Bitwarden, LastPass. So far, vendors haven't issued fixes, and the flaw affects Chrome, Edge, and other browsers. Man, this is tough, because so many people are saving their passwords and password managers, and even in their browsers. So my recommendation here is like, just don't save your passwords. Like when, especially like if Google Chrome's like, hey, you want to remember this, or Firefox OS2, hey, you remember this password? Always click no. Always, always, always. Password managers, a lot of people consider them secure. For me, I actually don't think password managers are that secure. And here's a fun fact, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, but in my personal life, I do not use a password manager. I don't. I memorize as many unique passwords as I possibly can, and then for accounts that aren't critical, like if I just assume that they are, if a threat actor got that password and got into that account, like it's not a big deal to me, because there's a lot of things that you sign up for that you just, it's not linked to, it doesn't have any of your personal information, it's just an account. I will share I'll reuse passwords for those for non-critical accounts, but for critical accounts, they all have unique passwords, and I just memorize them, dude, because LastPass has been breached several times, and I personally, it's just a treasure trove of information, dude, and threat actors know this, and that's why they are prime targets for them to attack. And if you want to use password managers, fine, but I personally think they're overrated. I really do. Yeah, honestly, it's more secure to write it on a piece of paper and keep it at home. I'm not even kidding, because a threat actor from another country can break into your LastPass, but a threat actor from another country isn't going to break in your house and take your password paper out of your house. They can't even get in your country more times than not. And then if they can, like, what's the chance of them like knowing exactly where you live, breaking in your house? And yeah, I honestly think a password notebook is more secure than a password manager, and that's a hot take, and I will die on that hill. Feel free to disagree with me. I'd rather reset my passwords 100 times before I start saving them. Yeah, that's what I do, dude. I reset my passwords on a very regular basis, because I make them so unique and so hard that not even I know what they are. So I do reset my password to my bank on a very regular basis, because I always forget it, or in other critical accounts that I have out there, because they are unique, and I just forget them. And you just hit forgot password, make a new password, and Yeah, I mean, if you do that every time, like that's the top-notch security. Like if you like generate a random number, like random password, reset your password every single time, top-notch security if you ask me. That takes a lot of effort, but I mean, it don't take that much time to reset your password nowadays if you really think about it. And I do it all the time because my passwords are so long and complicated. And I can't remember them half the time, and I'm like, man, did I put a lowercase this or the? And I was like, man, I can't remember. By the time I try it 3 times, I'm like, all right, reset password. So yeah, that's a very valid point. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's actually a strategy that I actually use for my critical passwords. That's what says notebook is definitely my go-to. Dude, it's underrated. People will laugh at it and like, oh, it's anybody can just look at that and maybe that's true, but if you put the notebook in safe, then it's a little more safer, right? You can't just get in there. I mean, everything's penetrable, right? And it's like definitely it's possible to break in a house, definitely possible to break in the safe, but my argument is, who's really the threats to stealing your notebook? Your neighborhood, right? Like what's the chances of your neighborhood just coming in and taking your password? You know what I mean? Um, I mean, it's there, it exists, obviously, but your neighborhood's a lot smaller than the rest of the world, right? If you put your passwords in a password manager, then the threats can come from anywhere. All right, guys, I only wanted the stream to be an hour long. We're about coming on time, so please ask your final questions now. This has been fun. Hopefully you guys can buy at it. Feel free to leave some feedback. So hopefully you guys liked it. I'll go back to, I think that was the last one. Yeah, that was the last one. Shout out C. Prentice for making this. Love the show. Thanks for the wisdom. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And thanks for listening to me rant. And thanks for being here. I'm glad you liked it. By the way, I'm gonna edit this up and I'm gonna like put it on YouTube. So it's gonna be a little bit of like a cleaner version. But if you want to rewatch this, I'll have like a cleaner version on YouTube coming out next week. So stay tuned for that if you want to rewatch it. But obviously, if you're here for the live stream, you got the better end of the deal, anyways, because you got to interact and ask questions. Great, Sheen. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Thanks, NeoFetch. Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. A lot more content on the way. I got a Hackers Cash podcast coming out tomorrow. So much content coming away. Friday, I got a Flipper Zero review video coming out as well. So if you're a member, you can already watch those because members can watch videos early. But non-members, you just gotta wait until they officially release. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. You guys are awesome. Just want to say thank you for the nice content listening to your podcast weekly. Just got my first offer as a pentester today. Yo, congrats. Shout out 29 Cole over on Twitch. I appreciate it. You supporting the content. And yeah, congratulations. That's a huge milestone. Everyone give 29 Cole a round of applause. Have you seen anything on Flipper One? Not yet, unfortunately, but when I do, you best believe I'm gonna be making content on it. All right, guys. Peace out. Take care. Have a good night. See you on the next stream. See you in the next video. Thanks for all the support. Love you guys.